Let me ask you this. Will you totally hate me or cancel me if you invited me to a beach party and I showed up like this? It's a sticky one, but I mean, it's pretty much the same thing with watches. I get this question a lot, and it's a bit confusing, but we're going to try and break it down today. What watch should I wear for what occasion, or what watch goes with what? So stick with me on this. It might be a bit confusing, but we'll iron through it. It's One Talk with Francis. I'm Francis, and let's get into it. Now, when you say the word category or category, you're trying to categorize things or the category of something. It's usually like a very straightforward thing, but it is a bit complicated with watches because in the categories, they come based on the different use case, of what we're talking about. For instance, we have a category which we've discussed before that is more about the brand type. We've discussed this. We have the mainstream, the independent, the micro brands, and you can categorize based on brand type. And then you can also categorize based on movements, which is what we've also discussed. I basically divide this into two, the automatic and the quartz, and that's another categorization. Now, there is also the categorization by function or complication, where you have the different types of complication. It could be a time-only watch, a date, calendar, travel, GMT, world timer, and which is categorized by what complication the watch is. But today's conversation really is categorized by style, the use case of how you are going to wear the watch, or what you are getting. You can also look at it like what you pair the watch with. And in this categorization, I'm going to break it down into three categories. We'll go with the dress watch, the sports watch, and the tool watch. So we're going to, give you examples of watches and break those down into the three. So the first of this subcategory will be the dress watch. Now, the dress watch is, it's a bit tricky because, first of all, let me make this very clear. There's no hard and fast rule to this. You can pretty much pair anything with anything. I've seen people do this all the time, and it's not frowned upon. But I mean, there's a code to things like life, usually should be. It's like when you get invited to an all-white party, but you just think you want to wear white and black, and nobody drives you from the venue. It's kind of like that. Now, a dress watch is usually understated. It is usually thin. Now, my real use case for this is if I'm wearing like a suit or a shirt with a cuff, I want the cuff of my shirt to go over my watch easily without any bump or obstruction. So if I put my hand down, it goes over my watch. If I raise it up, it goes, under the watch. That is, pretty much my test. So for me, it should be thin. It shouldn't have a huge diameter at all. It usually comes on a leather strap because, it is kind of dressy. So you can pair this with your formal attires, we Nigerians, when you wear your agbada. But you see, this is why I say there's no hard and fast rule, because you can wear your presidential Rolex or your gold Nautilus on a white agbada and you will look amazing. But when we talk of a dress watch, we're pretty much usually thinking about when you're wearing a suit. Not to say you cannot wear your Nautilus or Royal Oak on your suit. You can. Nobody will call you names. But a dress watch usually, pick this. Examples of dress watches are Patek Philippe Calatrava. So instead of wearing a chunky Nautilus, wear a Calatrava. Wear Vacheron Constantin Patrimony, or wear a Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso, or a Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Ultra Thin. Perfect dress watches for the occasion. Now, the next subcategory we're going to take is the sports watch. This is usually, really common. And, the sports watch is usually robust, usually has healthy water resistance, usually steel watches, because they should be rugged, because as the name implies, they should be used for sporting activities. So usually they should be, pretty much like a rugged, weather-friendly watch that can, take a beating while you are physically active doing what you're doing. For me personally, I like my sports watches to be a bit lightweight, so I don't feel them, like when I'm doing activities. So I personally would actually go for like a titanium model, which is lighter, but I don't think that's really, that's probably nitpicking a bit too much. Now, popular examples for sports watches like the Rolex Submariner, the Omega Speedmaster, and the Royal Oak from Audemars Piguet. Now, you see, usually steel versions of this, robust, good water resistance, and very, very rugged watches. Next subcategory are the tool watches. Now, the tool watch category or subcategory is a bit more open-ended because you can divide tool watches into further categories. I told you guys it would be confusing, but follow me with this one. Now, a pilot's watch is a tool watch, a field watch is a tool watch, a dive watch is a tool watch, and these are all three subcategories under the tool watch category. But one thing you would look out for, or one thing that usually happens, is these watches are usually much more legible. They also, now another part that where they kind of, would I say, cross carpet with the sports watch is they bear a lot of the same similarities. A lot of tool watches are in steel. A lot of tool watches have bracelet options, but could be leather leather straps as well. Now, like I said, tool watches tend to be very, very legible. They tend to be comfortable because they're used, but they are more function based. So the pilot watches might have some functions that are akin to pilot. The dive watches as tools for diving will definitely have way more water resistance. The field watches, which are pretty much for exploring and outdoor, for me, would focus on things like anti-magnetism and legibility of the dial, probably good illumination either at night time or like the dive watches underwater. So I think the tool watches are way more purpose built for the function. For example, the Rolex Explorer is an amazing tool watch. The Hamilton Khaki Field is as field watch as can get. And the IWC Big Pilot is another good example of a tool watch and of a pilot's watch. Now, I said I was going to break it into three categories or subcategories, which we've already talked about. But, some people talk about a category which is the everyday watch, or in watch terms, they call it the GADA, which is the go anywhere, do anything watch. Now, I don't put too much light to that because I wear all my watches pretty much everywhere. But the GADA watch is also supposed to be, to me, you can get a GADA watch tends to be like a tool watch or a sports watch because they have the same categories, comfortable, legible, rugged. They have all those same categories as any of those other categories, but some people like to make that a fourth category. And if we want to even stretch it further, a fifth category, which is usually your statement piece. Now, I don't find that yet again as should be a category as much because your statement piece could be out of any of the three subcategories we already mentioned. It could be your Patek Philippe Calatrava could be your statement piece, which is a dress watch. It could your Royal Oak, your Audemars Piguet Royal Oak could be your statement piece, which is a sports watch, or it could be a Patek Philippe pilot's watch, which is a tool watch. So, I don't want to make a statement piece or everyday watch real categories, but people also broaden the line of categories and add those two. Listen, like I said, when it comes to watches, it's a bit complicated and to each their own. However you want to categorize it, categorize. But for me, I wear my watches every day as often. But listen, I kind of follow the rules as well. It was fun talking watches, guys. As usual, if you have anything to add, if I missed something out, say it in the comments and let's banter about it. Stay safe, guys.